last day with the Agrifac because it gets shipped off next week to go to Nebraska to the next farmer on the list. So the last thing that I need to do before it goes off is I'd like to show you guys the difference between the green machine versus this fancy red one. So now this sprayer is not the most comparable sprayer to this red one, especially for what we have. This is the R4045, and the only reason why it's out here, and that's because the R4060, which is a far more comparable machine, it's currently broken in the shop. I just can't keep the hubs in these things to save my life. This is the 8th one I've had to do this year. But anyway, this green machine that is right here is a lot more comparable to the Agrifac that's outside, just because of the nozzle body that it has and the tank size. I guess this is John Deere's biggest sprayer that they make. They do make a newer one now. It's a 616R, which is basically just a rebrand on an R4060. The tech on it's basically the same. So this one has exact apply nozzle bodies and a 1,600 gallon tank. So whenever I compare that Agrifac to any sort of technology from a Deere, this is the sprayer that I will be talking about. I just couldn't get it out of the shop, so it will stay here while we review the other two. So as I start the review, I think the easiest way to do this is start at the back and come to the front, work my way from the boom to the tank size, to the suspension, the solution system, then finally the technology and the cab. That might be the easiest way to keep this as organized as possible. So now this machine on the left is an Agrifac Condor Endurance 2. It's got a 2,100 gallon tank with a 160 foot boom on 10-inch spacing. This on the right is a John Deere R4045 with a 1,200 gallon tank that was extended by max cap to make it 1,600 gallon with a 120 foot boom on 20-inch spacing for broadcast and 10-inch spacing for see and spray, because we have a weed it system applied to the boom. So now this is 10-inch spacing for multiple reasons. You can add a see and spray system onto it, and this makes it far more exact and targeting weeds on the ground. The other reason is so you can have your boom lower to the ground and still maintain your fan. Now these nozzles are placed narrow and the boom track is great, so you could run about 12 inches off the ground. It's not going to let you spray in more wind because the label shuts you off 15 mile an hour. But what it will do is it'll allow you to do a better job in those marginal days with gusty winds. I don't recommend spraying in wind, but if you have to, 10, 11 mile an hour, keep your boom low. You're going to have less drift and a lot better coverage with a 10-inch space rather than like a 30 or a 20. So now these nozzles on the back, they have a solenoid on the back of every one of them. It's because they pulse. The Agrifac pulsing nozzle, it runs at 110 hertz as a Deere runs on 30 hertz. So you're able to make this nozzle work a lot harder for you. You have a greater range and pressure. I'll pop up some stuff on the screen. These are all tools from Agrifac that they have on display on their website. This allows you to match your pressure and your nozzle to find the right nozzle for you and what you need, rather than having to do the math. These tools are essential for making sure that you do a good job without having to spend excess money on parts and nozzles that you don't need. Now with that being said, these are 4-way nozzle bodies. They spin to adjust. Now I would assume that they are 4-way rather than like a 5-way, which is typical on a Deere sprayer that does not have exact apply, and a 6 nozzle, which is on the exact apply. Because of the pulsating hertz, you do not need as many nozzles to be able to do what you need to do with this machine. You can also shut off nozzles to where you can run on 20s or you can run on 30s. Or whatever you need to do. It's all programmable in the screen. The breakaway on the end of this boom is not nearly as big as a John Deere is, and I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think what it does is it makes the operator be a lot more careful coming around objects. It really makes you more precise with what you're doing. I never had a problem with it. I only hit one object and I just barely nicked it here on the end. You can see that scuff there in the paint. One benefit to these versus the Deere is they have gas shocks on them rather than a spring. So when this breakaway breaks around, it's going to slow release back, which saves wear and tear on the boom, excess slamming around. If you come over here to the Deere and you grab the breakaway on it and you pull it back, it's a lot harder to pull back, so you're doing more damage. But when you let it go, it just snaps back in place. And that momentum coming forward, that's what tears stuff up. And also hitting objects, that tears stuff up too. So if you could just avoid using the breakaway altogether, that's going to be your best bet. So we have nozzle spacing, pulsating nozzles, your breakaway. Coming further in, these are your boom height sensors. There's 4 on these. The new ones have 8, which is a lot better. But on a 160 foot of boom, only having 4 cameras across, it's not great. But the tracking on these is amazing. I don't trust these at all. I trust these with my life. Now that being said, on these models that only have 4 cameras, you have to be very, very careful. There's one here on the outside, pretty close to the outside. The other one is all the way here in the middle. So if you run over a terrace and that terrace is right here in the middle of your boom, it's not sensing it. So you need to turn that off, deactivate, clear the terrace, turn it back on, because it senses all the way in here. So you have a lot of real estate in between sensors that it does not sense. But like I said, the new models have 8 cameras instead of 4. Normally they fold out. I think I just didn't get the boom folded out all the way. But normally they'd sit here like this. They fold in, that way when you fold the boom in, it sucks a lot narrower. The other thing that I really like about this Agrifac boom is, from a quick glance, there's nothing on it. This looks incredibly busy, plugged up. You have wire harnesses running everywhere. You have solution systems running everywhere. You have sensors. It's busy. It's complicated for no reason, because they did it. And you can't hardly even see anything on the boom. All of your wire harnesses tuck up real tight on this and this. No matter what color you buy, it's going to break down. No matter how much stuff you have on it, it's going to break down. You're going to have problems. So the less of something that you can have is always a good thing. Just less parts to break down. Now this is a monotube boom with a truss frame on the top. By having this boom built like this, it allows it to be real narrow. That way when you fold up, it folds tight. And also it is strong because you have your round tube boom with the truss frame to hold it up. It's super steady. There's no flex, no give. There's no chatter when you go through the field. It's a pretty solid boom. I have not put that many hours on it, so I can't speak for long-term reliability, but for short-term reliability and what I did, I don't see an issue with it at all. So this boom also is built in with a boom recirc. So it constantly shuffles the chemical back through the boom to mix the chemical and bring it back to the solution tank. So you don't have to prime your boom, just have to prime the nozzle bodies, which takes like 2 gallons, maybe. The other thing that this does is whenever you're spraying, it shuts the boom recirc off and it pressurizes the out and the back. So you're feeding the boom technically from both ends, because it is feeding through the middle and through the tips. Because this boom is so long, you could not feed enough chemical through the main tube pushing out in one big line. So rather than having multiple solution systems with multiple tubes coming through, they tie it into the recirc. That way you could feed from the tip coming back and from the main part coming in. Now this Deere machine does not have boom recirc. Doesn't have it on there. I think the new ones might, but I don't know for sure, so don't quote me. But this is how the John Deere system works. They have these valve bodies stationed all the way across. So it feeds this main hose on top, pressurized on top of your valve, and then that valve turns on, putting it in the middle of your tube and pressurizing the tube. This is 5-section boom shutoff. That red one's an individual nozzle shutoff. But the problem with this is you have dead ends, like right here. If you're broadcasting with that nozzle, this nozzle is not spraying, so you have atrazine and other chemical buildup right there. So looking across this boom, you can see these boom pins. We put new ones in last year. See all the rust coming out? That means they're shot. They already need replaced over a year. These boom pins are tiny. They're not very great by no means. They're not greasable either. They're nylon bushings. They wear out, especially on rough ground. You come over here to the Agrifac, the hinges are a little smaller. I think the metal going into the hinges is also just a little smaller, but it's a greased bushing on an auto greaser. So you don't have to take them out to replace bushings, because it is automatically getting fed with grease all day long. So they will not wear out nearly as fast as like a nylon bushing style will on a green machine. This is a triple fold boom. You have your one outside piece, one inside piece. Excuse me, you have your one outside piece, you have your middle piece, and you have your inside. The inside goes forward, the middle goes back, the outside comes forward. Deere is a 2-section fold. This first section comes in, this outside section goes back. You have less cylinders, it folds up in 2 pieces rather than 3, so there are less bushings and pivot points. But I don't know if you could make a 160-foot boom that only folds twice without being ridiculously long. So that's the reason why this folds 3 times instead of 2. When the boom folds on the machine, you could see the bracket in the back. It's kind of a little hook piece Then you have your poly plate right there with the light on top. And then you have this front bracket, and the boom ends probably right in here. So when it folds up, you have full visibility from the cab. You can look sideways, there's nothing sitting there beside you. As the Deere, when it sits on this front plate, your boom still hangs in front of the cab probably 15 feet. It might go to right here. These green booms are better than the older black boom style. You really couldn't see anything. These ones, you're still obstructed looking sideways, but not nearly as bad. So as far from viewing the cab, because of the boom, once again, the Agrifac wins on that aspect. It doesn't matter how big of a boom you make. If you don't have a good quality boom suspension, all you're gonna do is you're gonna beat it up. It's not gonna last very long. It won't do anything for you. Now, Agrifac has done a fantastic job with their boom suspension. In my mind, it's the best that I've seen. I have not seen a whole lot of other ones rather than like Deere and Case. I know that Horsch makes a similar sprayer to this, but it doesn't compare to what this has on the back, in my opinion. So for your boom sway side to side, when you flip a corner, you're putting torque on this boom and it wants to slide back. If you fix the boom to the machine, you're putting all of your tension on these pivot points. So that's a lot of force pulling back and stressing out stuff like this. What they have done is they have this sliding bar cushioned with rubber, as well as a gas shock on an accumulator. So what this does is this shaft pushes the tension from one side and pushes on the other to equalize the pressure that you're putting on the boom. You can kind of see the scratch marks on this because it slides in these poly pieces on this clamped piece. And as this pushes back, say your tip is coming back, it's pushing in, transferring the energy through the bar to this boom, which is pushing it forward. They're transferring the energy from one side to the other rather than stressing out all your hinge points. Now, this is a very good thing when you're whipping around like a power pole, going straight, make a sharp curve around. All that's doing is putting force on both sides of the boom, and this allows it to transfer from one side to the other without harming anything in the process. So working our way forward, I think that's everything on the boom that I can tell. I'm sure there's a couple more things that I'll think of as we go forward. So this is the back rack. This thing it's big. It is meant to hold some weight. These pins are massive. It is built sturdy. Those boom cylinders are big. It's simple, but tough. Everything on this machine that is exactly how I would describe it. It's great. I love to see stuff like this that is just big and overly built. Then you go to the Deere and then you look at what it's got on the back, and it's just not, in my mind, not quite big enough. So we'll compare this pin. Kind of put my hand around there. That pipe in the middle is bigger than my hand. That's the width of my hand. And then you come over here and everything is just tiny. And rather than using tube and using pipe, they use channel. It's lighter, but it's also lighter gauge metal. You have your cylinders that are tiny. You have your pins that are tiny. You have everything on this back part that just, in my mind, looking at it, not nearly as tough as the Agrifac. I cannot make promises on it because I have only put 50 hours on this. So this back tank here, now if you look up inside, it's not a tank really, I guess. It is like a shield per se. You have your air tank up there on the top. You have your solution pump here on the bottom. You have your valves here that kind of control the flow to where it goes, all controllable inside. These are your filters. They're super easy to get to, super easy to clean. They've got a wrench sitting right here on the back. Pop them out, clean them up, stick them back in. These are your overflows, fresh water and solution. This is your solution pump right here. It's a high pro pump. I really like how they're using parts that you could find really anywhere. So now that you've seen where this is on the Agrifac sprayer, we'll go to the Deere. I also want to point out, if you have to change this pump, how easy and spacious it is. It is chest height for me. I can get in there real easy and take it. It's a one-person job on this machine. Now we come over to the Deere. Given chest height is a little lower on the machine because the machine sits lower, you duck under to get under here. So this is your pump, which it seems easy to get to, and it is compared to like the 4940 machines and older. But if you really look at this machine, it's suspended from above rather than below. So when you change it, you have to hold it up to bolt it, rather than that other one, you set it down, you let the weight rest on the machine. It's a one-person job on the Agrifac. I've done these by myself, would not recommend it. 2 people, it's a breeze, but this requires another person to help you take it on and off. It's just busy under here. You can see how it is just plugged up with hoses, with electrical components, with filters. It's just not a very clean machine, as I would call it. So now the suspension on this machine, this is the Deere. You have 2 hydraulic shocks. You have 2 hydraulic cylinders per wheel. You have 1 airbag per wheel. You have disc brakes only on the front, not on the back, but with a stiff frame that everything sits on. The frame does not move. Only your wheels move up and down. They do move independent. It is not on an axle, but they only move up and down one at a time. So you get going in some sand fields, and then it tends just to hop. You don't really move with the hills or the bumps per se. It just bounces. Now let's come over to the Agrifac. The Agrifac has air brakes on every tire. Every wheel has an air brake. So now the suspension for this machine, it's not at the axle like Deere is. You don't have an airbag sitting right here that's getting constantly beat up by corn, milo, whatever you're spraying, crops. It's a lot cleaner. You can get trash out of here easier. They move the suspension more towards the top. You have an airbag mounted way up there. Will not get trash in it because it is way out of the way. And then they do not have hydraulic shocks. Excuse me, they do not have hydraulic cylinders on every axle. It looks like you do have some sort of cylinder actuator in the middle. I'll have to clarify that. But there's an airbag and then possibly a cylinder in the middle. But a lot of your suspension comes from this bar here. So it's a walking beam style suspension. The top piece, the red piece, basically, the red frame, does not move. It stays steady. These 2 black pieces, the black frames that connect from tire to tire, pivot on this middle beam, suspended on each end by an airbag. And one other thing that I'd like to highlight on that is maintenance versus this machine. You have 2 times 4 is 8. You have 8 hydraulic cylinders and 4 airbags mounted on this. Here you have 4 airbags on a big walking beam suspension. That's all you got. And they're out of the way. Trash is not going to wear on those airbags. Trash is going to wear a hole in those things real quick. So this engine that powers the Agrifac Endurance. So this is a Cummins engine. It's an 8-liter. It's a very common engine, especially here in the US. Now there are other engines depending on where you live. I believe they do put the MANs as well as the Mercedes. Don't quote me on that. I can only speak for the US, but we have Cummins engines. You don't always have to go to Agrifac to have them work on it. You can go to any Cummins licensed, registered mechanic. They'll work on it for you. A lot of like your Kenworth trucks, Peterbilt trucks, they run Cummins in them. You can go to them and have them diagnose problems on this, or they carry parts for it, which takes some of the strain off of Agrifac themselves for doing maintenance work. If you have a convenient mechanic who is comfortable with working on these, they are more than capable to take their hand and try to fix this. So another thing that you probably see is the back tires are turned and the front tires are turned. This has 4-wheel steer. You can swap in between the 2. You can turn it on, turn it off, crab steer left, crab steer right. The Deeres, as everybody knows, they only steer on the front. So when you're trying to follow tram lines at 160 feet wide, if you're rounding a corner and you turn without 4-wheel steer on, you're going to make tracks in the front, you're going to make tracks in the back. So there's 2 tire tracks that are going to come around this corner running over more crop, just as you would on the Deere. You flip on 4-wheel steer, your tram lines stay following the track. You can see the track leads right into the back one. This lets you run over less crop, make less tracks, keep compaction on tram lines. It's a lot more efficient system. You can make tighter turns. The circle that you can make with this machine is way tighter, maybe 10 feet circle tighter than that green machine. And it's a smaller frame sprayer. So the sprayer that was in the shop, they are Bonfiglio hubs. It's a French-made hub. Deere uses them a lot. They've been on the machine for forever. These are Spicer hubs, which is a common US brand hub. You can find Spicer parts everywhere. We use Spicer parts on our U-joints. We use Spicer ball joints. We use Spicer hubs now, which I'm really excited about. I have not had good luck with the Bonfiglio hubs that John Deere uses. They must be junk or light metal, or they're getting worse, because I had a 4920, 7,000 hours, not one hub problem. Those John Deere machines, I have done 14 hubs in my lifetime on those John Deere machines. They just shell out easy. I'm not hard on equipment. They just don't seem to last like they should. I'm excited to see what the Spicer hubs can do. It is a very trustworthy brand. I would put my trust in them. But like I said, 50 hours is all I put on this. I cannot speak to longevity. I can just speak to what I assume that brand offers, comparing it to its other parts that they manufacture. The fuel tank for this, excuse me, animals. The fuel tank is here, but it's not here. It's on top of the fender. So this is kind of like a, I don't know what you'd really call this, but this is probably like a 5-gallon tank or a 10-gallon tank with an electric pump on the bottom that siphons it to over there. It fills kind of slow, so don't stick a big Thunder Creek fuel trailer nozzle in there, wound it all the way up. It'll just click off all the time. If you have like a 20-gallon a minute pump, I pull the handle all the way and it doesn't ever catch up. It will at the end of the tank, it'll finally catch up, but otherwise I think it pumps about 18 gallon a minute, 17, 18, probably right in there. So you stick the nozzle in here. When you start filling, you'll hear the pump turn on and it puts it right there. Holds 120 gallons of diesel. Your def tank is right underneath here. It's locked. The def tank's on the other side of the machine. But then I guess while we're up here, we might as well climb and look at the solution system. So this is your tank, 2100 gallon, like I said. It's real narrow and long. That's typically a 12 extended to a 16. The one in the shop, it's a 1600 gallon tank. Let's open this up real quick. I have cleaned it out because it is leaving, sadly. So it is a clean tank. I might need 2 hands for this. So you can dump chemical on top. So they put that in there, it's a strainer. So here's the inside of the tank. These are what cleans the tank. So in the bottom, so these red and green spinners on the top, they clean it. You can turn them on, there's 6 of them along the top. Then there are agitation jets in the bottom. They're only on a bar in the middle, but they blow forward and blow backward to make sure that you can agitate this tank extremely efficiently. I do think that these Agrifac sprayers, they agitate the tank better than those Deere ones do. The lid is nice. It seals up really, really well. I like the handle that's on it. It's a lot easier to latch versus the Deere one, where I feel like you have to jump on it occasionally to get it latched. That one's easy. I like it. Underneath this little port here is your def burner and the top of your radiator. I would hope that someday maybe we could do away with stuff of that sort. I am anti-emissions. I feel like they do not save anything except cost your engine life and money. Anyway, I won't get into that too much. Politics. So now this is your air filter for the engine is here. And I do believe, if I am not mistaken, this is your cab clean kit. This is a carbon filter that takes air from here into the cab. All of your fresh air runs through here. What's nice is having it up top, you do not get dust from the tires, so it stays cleaner. Plus having these filters outside of the cab means that they can be bigger versus the Deere. They are very tiny carbon filters, and I feel like they get dirty very quick. So here on the front, this is your toolbox on the right. This is your control panel. I'll turn the key on later and show you more. Well, I just turned it on. It'd be easier to show you that. So this button here, that button there, lowers the panel in the front. This is where you fill from. So you either have your onboard pump that That's just rainwater. It's in the tube for the hose. You can either pump it on with this is how you fill your fresh water, or this goes straight into the bottom of the tank. So if you have a tender trailer, like we have two, you hook up to there and push in, or if you have a tank where you want to suck out of, you attach to there. The other button, which is here, drops down your inductor. This is an extremely nice inductor. Probably the nicest one I've ever seen on a sprayer. You have a garden hose on the side. You turn it on with this. Garden hose on. Spinner inside. So when you lift this up, it turns this jug rinse on. This is what turns on your rinses on the side. There's 4 of them all the way around. Pick that back up. The toolbox on this is small. This is as big as it is. Versus the Deere, which Deere has them covered on this. I will give them that. We go over here to the Deere toolbox. Way bigger. You can fit a lot more stuff. I like that. This might not be big enough, but I will put stuff elsewhere. There are some compartments in other places. It's just not as big. So this is your electric flow meter. That is your solution tank. That is your fresh water tank. So now you could turn on and off the pump, that pump there, but you cannot turn on your solution pump, which I wish you could do. I wish they'd put it on this button, because to have your tank agitating and to use your inductor, you have to have the solution pump on. So if you want to turn the inductor on, you have to turn the solution pump on in the cab and then come out and turn your inductor on. Otherwise it will not work when you are using this here. It automatically turns your solution pump on over 60 gallons when you use this side, but when you use this side, it does not. So if you need to pump on with if you're pumping on with a tender and you want to use your inductor, you have to crawl up, turn the pump on, crawl back down, use your inductor. Kind of inconvenient if you ask me. That is about the only flaw that I have found with this machine, if I'm being 100% honest. This is your hand wash. You fill it here at the bottom. The tank is up in the nose. So on this side, flip it open, it's a little harder, are your batteries. It is a 24-volt system, which is very common for European countries. Not very common for US. But it is what it is. Our Challenger tractor is also a 24 volt because it's technically a Fendt Challenger. Batteries are there. This is your def tank. Easy as that. I did wax the sides because I took it through some corn and I made it all sorts of scratched up. Still kind of scratched. Not as bad as it was, but she sure shines now. There's your auto greaser. Feeds the entire machine. Very few grease zerks do not get fed with the auto greaser. And here is your camera on the front. I think this should be an industry standard on every sprayer ever. It shines back here and you can see exactly where this tire is running. So from in the cab, you have a monitor. I'll show you the cab later, but you watch the monitor and you can tell exactly if you need a bump left, bump right to stay within the row. There's also one more camera on the back that you could see behind you with. It's right there on top of that box. We'll climb up the ladder now and do a cab tour. So I have had a lot of people on other videos complain about this little platform to get in. I don't mind it. I don't think John Deere's space here to here is any bigger or smaller, for sure. It does open the risk of falling off. Just don't fall off, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Take our shoes off because they have nice carpet and I don't want to get it dirty. Oh, this cab is nice. This is a Kloss combine cab. I'm sure most of you guys have seen one before. We'll turn the key on quick so we can power the monitor up again. You have your climate control, your lights, your radio. You have real nice big window screens all the way around the cab, which makes that one look like they're worthless. There's your camera. I think select goes to the other. Yep, there's your reverse. There's your tire. Super easy to see. This has Green Star auto steer. You can get it with Tremble or with Raven. We're Green Star everything, so it has Green Star on it, which is super handy. Now this controls like your coverage map, your guidance. It does not control how much is in your tank, looking at your pressure, turning on your pump, rinsing the tank. It does not handle that. All that weight is on this machine, or this monitor, excuse me. So we can go through this monitor. Everything is movable. You could basically put anything wherever you wanted it to. As you could tell, everything is just a little uneven, which drove me nuts. This is section control on off. Fuel, I need to top it off, but fuel and def. Engine temp. You could add anything to your screen. You just press and hold, and it didn't pop it up because it's already on the screen, but otherwise it'd pop it up. So this is your menu. Starting with menu, it basically displays all the stats of the sprayer, temperatures, whatever it may be. Settings, you can manage your headland management system, which is an incredible piece of technology. It utilizes the button on the back of this handle to program it. So there's 6 different steps that you could use. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. I only have 2 active. So you either have, I have turning off and turning on. As you can see, the nozzle's off and the boom tips come up automatically. Boom level goes on and solution system turns on. But it also piggybacks off the coverage map section control that's on this. That button doesn't mean anything. This button is what you use, but it goes off the mapping that's on this screen. You could add anything to here. You could turn on and off 4-wheel steer. So like whenever I was spraying Milo, I had 4-wheel steer on here. Whenever you're auto steering, you do not want 4-wheel steer on because it sits there and it just weaves. So on this, I would just add 4-wheel steer off. And on this one, I would add 4-wheel steer on. So whenever I am turning, it's on. Whenever I'm auto steering, it's off. You just drag them to the trash when you don't want them. Boom balance. Like I said, best on the market. I would trust this thing with my life. You could see your 4 sensors. You can either turn ground or canopy on, depending if you're in crop or not in crop. GPS information, machine information, spraying information, preferences, which is just if you're normal or not normal. This is where you put in a test speed. If you need to prime your nozzles, you just click, say, test speed 15 mile an hour and hit on, and then it uses like all the other rates that you have and it turns your boom on, simulating like you're driving, but you're not. Software. If you go up here to your hydro page, this is the next cool thing. So this turns on and off all the valves on the entire sprayer. Those rinse nozzles that I showed you earlier, they're turned on and off with this. You have a dump valve right here that just drains everything on the ground. So if you're rinsing out and you need to drain just that last little bit of water out the bottom, super easy. I actually turned it on. If you look up there on the camera, see that's a little dripping out there. Kind of handy. Your boom, master spray on off, recirc, your pump gallon a minute's there. If you want to switch between your fresh water and your solution tank, this is the valve that you hit. This is your agitation on and off in the tank. Turns off automatically when you're below 60 gallons. Alarms page, brand new, so there's no alarms. And then your calibration screen, which is basically like the tech side of the machine, what they would mess with. They do have a portal like John Deere has. The Op Center runs that one. This is a Dealer Connect type interface where the tech from wherever can remote get into your screen and troubleshoot problems without having to be on site. Now that is awesome. It allows techs to read codes and be able to try to diagnose a problem and know what they need to bring when they come and see you, so they're not just seeing the problem for the first time themselves the second they get out there. They already are thinking about what's wrong before they even get to you. This handle looks really goofy, but it is way more comfortable than those Deeres. The Deere looks normal, so it would seem as if it's better. This looks goofy with raindrops, and the whole thing looks like a raindrop. But I like the feel of this. Rather than having your hands so far upright, I think it lets it sit down. It's got a nice big pad to rest your palm on. It's comfortable. All the buttons are within thumb reach. It's really nice and simple. You have your cruise control, your auto steer. Now this is what you press, like forward, backward, just like your activator switch. Mast up and down, main frame left and right. Your boom tips are on each side. Now this auto levels your boom. So like if you get all messed up and you need to quick just level it, hit that once, levels the boom. Now these controls are for other types of sprayers that have air booms rather than just this, which is a pulsating boom. Got your ladder, got your park brake. Now the ladder is electric, so it can lift up without the machine even running. All it's got to do is just have the key switch on. Field mode and road mode. So field mode, road mode. Road mode makes you drive with your feet pedals, which at first I was super against that because that machine does not have foot pedals. I thought, why would I want to drive with my feet when I could just put the hydrostat forward and go? No, I wish all machines road mode was like this. It's so much easier, and I feel like it's safer rather than just letting the hydrostat rest forward and go. You can still use cruise control, so you just get going and then you double tap cruise control and it turns itself on. Air brakes. Let's keep going around. Now this is the sensitivity of your joystick, which just means a second forward is X amount mile an hour. The higher it is, the faster you're gonna go holding it forward just a little bit. You have your crab steer left, right, and then this is what turns on your 4-wheel steer. Green is 2-wheel, orange is 4-wheel. You have your pump on off. These two buttons are for the air boom. This is your air suspension. This is what drops it and raises it for hauling it on a trailer, basically. And then these are your section controls. As you can see, if I turn the knob, it turns that on and off. And then if you click it, you can see that B is border nozzle, which just turns on another nozzle that is a half fan at the end of your boom, so you're not half rating that last nozzle where it sprays out. If you press it again, it's going to turn to E, which is end nozzle, and that just shoots straight out like a fence row nozzle. Deere has fence row nozzles, but not border nozzles. Click it again, turns itself off. This is where you go to control everything in the sprayer. If you hit your home button, and then we'll say 2, this is your track width. It'll go from 96 inches all the way in to 135 all the way out. Deere goes from 120 all the way in to 160 all the way out. So it is wider, more stable, but it's wider going down the road. At 96 inches wide, you can fit in a US lane of traffic. No big deal. All right, home again. Let's hit home 3. This is your boom fold. This is your outs. This is your ins. This folds it all the way out automatically. This folds it in all automatically. Home, and then we'll go 4. Now this is for a different sprayer, I believe. I think this is for the air boom as well, because you can control droplet size with air rather than pressure. Just kind of slick. So home 5. This is where you go to control your rates. These are your rates. Say you want to type in, all right, we want to spray 8 gallon an acre. 8, enter. Pops up 8. All right, what pressure do you want? 55 pressure, enter, go. It's simple. Or it saves presets to where it say we want to bump up 23, you hit, scroll over to your rates. 23 is on number 3, so you hit 3, enter, 23. We'll go to 8. Your A's, this is where you would go to program in your boom if you wanted it on 20s or 30s, and then it'd pop up with a different preset. Then we go to 9. This is your boom track. This is where you set your height. Right now I have it on 35. You can set to whatever. I have it on 35 because I was messing with the sprayer, showing everybody. If I was spraying in the field, I have no issue running this at like 12 or even 15 inches ground clearance. I trust it. This is an auto kill switch. I have hit that once upon a time, and now I know what it is, and now I will not use that again. I bumped it with my hand. So, it could be in a better spot. The cup holders in these are your regular cloth cup holders. They're not fantastic. They're not horrible. They could have better cup holders. I do understand that it is a Kloss cab. It's not an Agrifac cab. This is not an Agrifac engineering. This is a Kloss engineering. So, in the armrest, nice bit of storage, a USB port and a looks like a Cat 5 port. Got a lot of space here beside you. Set whatever you need there. Keys in the back. You have your screens on the side. This is a cooled compartment up top. I don't use it really because I have a Yeti cooler and I set it right here beside me. Flip the buddy seat up, set it right there, no big deal. This is also a cooled compartment underneath the seat. It runs off of the air conditioner, not a refrigerator. So don't expect it to make hot stuff really cold, but if it's cold stuff and you stick it in there, it'll maintain. Now, one thing that is really passed over on any sort of engineer's list, in my opinion, let me turn this off quick. Oh, fan off. Is the buddy seat. The buddy seat is very important. As a farmer, I don't get to spend a lot of time with my family. It is what it is. I spend a lot of time in here. If this buddy seat is comfortable, your family will be there. Your wife will be there. My wife likes to ride with me sometimes. If she rides with me in that, I bet 2 hours, maybe 3, she's got to get out. It's just not comfortable. Doesn't want to spend time with you. It sounds dumb, but if this causes your significant other, your kids, your wife, whoever it may be, to want to spend more time with you, come and be with you on those long days when you know that you might just need just a little help to get through the day, a little help to get through the hours, that means the world. This seat here is the most comfortable buddy seat that I have ever sat in my life. It's big, you're not confined to a little space, it's cloth, and it's got a little tip back to it. The deer sits flat, it's a perfect 90. If anything, the back of it leans forward just a little bit. This back leans back, this seat is just a hair tipped up, it's cloth. You have a really nice big backrest. It doesn't look comfortable, but it is at the most perfect angle that I guarantee you anybody can take a nap right there. So this means a lot to cab and creature comforts when you have family. I'm also a 6'2" dude, so not a short dude by no means. Sitting back here, I can't touch the glass. It looks like it's close, but if you tiptoe out, you can touch it. You have plenty of leg room. Sitting slouched, it's like the perfect angle to rest your feet on the window. It is real comfortable. Got vents all over the cab, everywhere. These 2 vents are worth $1 million. They put out some volume and it will keep you comfortable in the cab all day long. So with that being said, in the cab, visibility, fantastic. Comfort, awesome. Joystick, comfortable. Controls, simple, effective. This monitor, big, you can see everything. The GPS, it's John Deere and it's very familiar to me. The cameras make it easy to see. Everything's within reach. It's comfortable. It is easy to operate. This machine here, I can spend way more time in it without getting fatigued, worn out, tired, just want to get out of the machine than that machine right there. I'd say 15 hours in a Deere machine. They're comfortable, don't get me wrong, but they could be better. I could run 18, 20 hours, no big deal in this machine. Easy, actually. You go to that Deere machine, by hour 18, you are wanting to get out, stand up, run around, do whatever. It will wear you out running that. I mean, just look at this. It's air conditioned and heated. It is the most comfortable thing that you will ever sit in your life. So now that the review is completely done, I will be sending this machine back. It is on its next trip to the demo. I think it's heading to Nebraska, actually. But if there's any questions you guys have, leave them in the comments. I will happily answer any ones that I can. I hope that I explained this well enough for everybody to kind of get a broad overview of what these sprayers are. This is a fantastic machine. I thank Agrifac, and I cannot thank Agri-Center out of Hoxie, Kansas enough for bringing this machine down and letting me run it. If you want to try one of these, get a hold of Tyler from Agri-Center in Hoxie, Kansas. Tyler, he is the man. He's the one who organized this entire thing, and he brought this down and let me use it. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you want to try one, buy one, use one, see one, it doesn't matter what, call Agri-Center, ask for Tyler, and he will get you nailed down and bring it to you, or find a way for you to go see one, because these things are absolutely amazing. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching the video. We'll see you in the next one.